Coming to you live from the Tino studios in Minooka, Illinois. I'm your host, Bucky Shanks, and this is Tino Tonight. Welcome everybody to the Week 5 edition of Tino Tonight. 9 teams in the top 25 suffered defeat, with 4 of them being in the top 10. Through the 4 weeks this year, 3 times we have had 9 teams lose in the top 25. Back in week 2, we had 11 top 25 teams go down. It seems this is likely going to be the norm this year with COVID and all the injuries. But before we go any further, I would like to give a special shout out to the following head coaches: Michigan's Joe Cernak, Florida State's Cam Bishop, Georgia Tech's Chris Brigham, Baylor's Lanny Strong, Clemson's Dave Labby, Washington's Chris Finger, and Washington State's Austin Scott. These coaches all hit the 10-win mark in their careers this past week. Also hitting the 10-win mark earlier this year were Alabama's Chris Vardy, Tennessee's Mark Boland, Arkansas's Adam Guthrie, Ohio State's Jeremy Mayoral, and Virginia Tech's David Walland. They hit it earlier this year, but we weren't really keeping track of the career wins at this point. Now that we've actually got a legit leaderboard, I will be updating as coaches hit milestones throughout their career. Congrats again to these coaches. We start, as always, with the squeak of the week. Baylor came into this one ranked 4th in the country. We mentioned last week this could be a potential look-ahead spot as number 2 Kansas was up next. We had to wait until Thursday for the stat corrections to hash this one out. Baylor was credited with some missing stats and had their loss overturned. They would end up winning by 7.45 points, the 11th closest game in Tino history. TCU got 119.90 points from Dak Prescott, which that is the most in 2020 and the 9th most all-time for a player in a single week. They were unfortunately let down by 8 other players who scored 10 points or less. Baylor was led by Marlon Humphrey and Terry McLaurin, who each scored 57 and some change. This week's mover and shaker is Syracuse. The Orange offense has been one of the best in the country to this point and has guided them to a 3-1 record. Ironically, their highest point total they scored this year is the only week they lost. But as always, to be featured on this segment, all you have to do is beat back-to-back ranked teams, and the Orange have done just that. The last 2 weeks, they have knocked off number 5 Clemson and number 16 Notre Dame. They were ranked number 21 last week, so we will have to wait and see what the committee has to say going into week 5. The no longer walk in the park Tar Heels are up next. And that brings us to the updated top 25 rankings. Coming in at number 25, Washington State 2-2. The Cougars joined the land of the ranked after knocking off number 15 Colorado last week. Breaking a 2-game losing streak, that's their 2nd ranked win of the 2020 season. California is up next. Number 24, Notre Dame 2-2. The Irish have now dropped 2 straight. After scoring at least 1067 in the first 2 weeks and wins over Vandy and Oregon, the Irish have now scored 871 and 729 the last 2 weeks in non-competitive losses. It's now sink or swim time as Florida State is up next, with Clemson and Virginia Tech in 3 of the next 4 matchups as well. Number 23, Colorado 2-2. The Buffaloes lost last week to Washington State in a close game. Both losses were by 25 or less this year. The Buffaloes will be a tough out each week. They get a tough test this week as Oregon is up next. Number 22, Florida 2-2. The Gators lost to number 3 Tennessee last week, marking their 2nd loss of the season, both to number 3 ranked teams. The Gators will look to rebound this week as they face Alabama, who is coming in on a 2-game losing streak. Number 21, Auburn 2-2. The Tigers picked up their 2nd win of the season as they knocked off number 7 Arkansas last week. They get LSU up next. Number 20, Penn State 3-1. The Nittany Lions have now won 3 straight after knocking off number 25 Rutgers last week. 2 ranked wins already this year. They get a chance for number 3 this week in a big matchup in the Big Ten as Ohio State is up next. Number 19, Arkansas 2-2. The Razorbacks have been back and forth this year, alternating wins and losses each week. They dropped to number 19 after the loss to Auburn. They get a chance this week to rebound and move back up as Georgia is up next. Number 18, Virginia Tech 2-2. After winning 2 straight, the Hokies lost last week to Florida State. Another big game this week as Clemson is up next. Number 17, Washington 2-2. The Huskies had to wait until Thursday for official word on the outcome, but they received good news and the victory stood and they defeated Oregon State. They will look to make it 2 in a row with a huge game versus Arizona State up next. Number 16, Mississippi State 3-1. The Bulldogs have won 2 straight and have brought the offense this year, scoring over 1,000 points in all 4 games so far this season. They will look to make it 3 straight and stay perfect in the conference when they face Vanderbilt up next. Number 15, Ohio State 2-2. The Buckeyes laid an egg last week versus Michigan State, only scoring 874 points. They will need to find the offense and fast as a red-hot Penn State team is up next. Number 14, Oregon 2-2. The Ducks got beat up in Week 4 by Arizona State, dropping to 2-2 and 1-1 in the conference. They will look to rebound versus number 23, Colorado this week. Number 13, Syracuse 3-1. The Orange come in winning 3 straight after appearing earlier tonight on Movers and Shakers. They jumped from 21 up to 13 as a result of the success they have had over very capable opponents. They will look to make it 4 in a row and remain on top of the ACC with a win over North Carolina this week. Number 12, Oklahoma 2-2. The Sooners up 5 spots after beating in-state rival Oklahoma State. Bucky tried to tell everyone to RELAX, relax. After all the dirt being kicked on these guys, put some respect on this champion's name. Texas Tech is up next. Number 11, Florida State 3-1. The Seminoles took down number 8 Virginia Tech last week and jumped from 19 to 11 as a result. After ghost riding their bike weeks 1 and 2, the Seminoles we thought we would see all year have finally shown up the last 2 weeks, scoring over 1,000 in both. A suddenly reeling Notre Dame team is next as the Seminoles look to stay perfect in conference play. Number 10, Clemson 3-1. The Tigers beat Wake Forest to get back to even in ACC play. They currently sit 4th in the conference. A big game versus Virginia Tech is next up. Number 9, Michigan State 3-1. The Spartans come in winning 3 straight and have rebounded nicely since a Week 1 loss to Washington State. They took out number 6 Ohio State this week and remain perfect in the Big Ten. They have Iowa up next, so they will be 4-1 heading into Week 6 where they will face Rutgers. Number 8, Georgia Tech 3-1. The Yellow Jackets come in winning 3 of 4 and 2 wins over ranked teams. The only blemish is still that Week 2 loss to hated rival Georgia. See Bergeron and company get ready for Wake Forest in Week 5. Number 7, Michigan 3-1. The Wolverines' offense had been sputtering in recent weeks, but they got back on track in Week 4 as they put up well over 1,000 points on a depleted Wisconsin team. That's the Wolverines' second-ranked win of the season as well. They take on Rutgers next. Number 6, Iowa State 4-0. The Cyclones remain an absolute whirlwind on offense. Get it? Whirlwind? Cyclones? Stop it, Bucky. Oh, they absolutely took it to Texas this week to remain perfect. Kansas State is up next. Number 5, Arizona State 4-0. The Sun Devils took a little heat last week on the show for the schedule they had played to this point. They must have used that as bulletin board material in the locker room before the game. They came out and put up over 1,194 points on number 5 Oregon en route to a major win for the program. The Sun Devils will look to stay perfect in the conference and hand Bucky his second helping of crow as they have number 17 Washington up next. Number 4 Baylor 4-0. The Bears, thinking they lost all week, got their loss overturned on Thursday morning, we found out. That being said, that now makes 4 straight as the Bears are one of 6 teams that remained unbeaten. They almost got caught looking ahead to this week as the game of the year to this point is in Week 5 when they face second-ranked Kansas. Number 3, Tennessee 4-0. The Volunteers took down number 18 Florida last week to improve to 2-0 in the SEC. They remain one of 6 unbeaten teams in the country. Mark's boys continue to roll. South Carolina is up next. Number 2, Kansas 4-0. The Jayhawk Revenge Tour continues to roll on. Kansas beat West Virginia by just under 300 points. This is 8 straight regular season wins going back to last season. Tyler's squad looks every bit of the team from last year, poised to make another run at the Final Four. They have a big game up next as number 4 Baylor stands in their way. Number 1, UCLA 4-0. The Bruins continue to roll. They have now won 6 straight regular season games dating back to last year. The over 300-point beating of Cal marks 4 straight this season. Running out of good things to say at this point about Brian Jones' Bruins. They get Arizona next in a game they will be heavily favored. And that brings us to the games of the week. We're going to have the game of the year so far to this point. Number 2, Kansas taking on number 4, Baylor. Number 5, Arizona State versus number 17, Washington. Number 10, Clemson versus number 18, Virginia Tech. Number 11, Florida State versus number 24, Notre Dame. Number 14, Oregon versus number 23, Colorado. Number 15, Ohio State versus number 20, Penn State. And that'll do it for this week's edition of Tino Tonight. For all of us here at Tino Studios in Buckingham Palace, I'm your host, Bucky Shanks. Good night, everybody.